How do you go from an operator, somebody who's in the business every single day doing all the tasks that comes with, to being an owner, a person who builds, empowers teams to scale your business further than you ever could individually? I was curious of just that, so I did the research. I went and found all the articles, videos, talks from some of the best minds in the industry to see if I could pick up on patterns along the way, ultimately to share them with you. In this video, we're going to go through the 3 signs that you've actually hit a founder ceiling, what that actually means, and practical ways for you to break through that ceiling onto the growth that you actually want. So what even is a founder ceiling? It's when a company is still structurally dependent on the owner to handle its regular operations. Things like getting revenue through the door, making strategies for the future, and managing current employees all fall to one person. Which really means if you take a step back at any point, things start to fall through the cracks. You might already see this being played out in your life. It's when you're in the building, in the weeds with everybody. There's a lot of ambition, a lot of intention to everything that you do. But the moment you take a step back, go on a long weekend or have a sick day, you start to notice the urgency starts to fall off. This can be exhausting. It really means that you don't really have a light at the end of the tunnel. There's no world where you can off ramp to think about bigger and better things. You're constantly trying to figure out the things in front of you at any given day. So how can you tell if you've actually hit the founder ceiling yourself? Sign number 1 is that nothing really happens until you start to weigh in. Things like pricing changes, onboarding new employees, or dealing with customer issues really halts until you give your opinion on how to handle those issues themselves. Which, at the beginning, was exactly the thing that gave you the edge among all your other competitors. Your ability to be present, around constantly, and give a final touch on everything that's happening was your differentiator. But at scale, it starts to be the exact thing that pulls you back into the weeds and keeping you from moving forward into that scaling environment. Now, here's a thought experiment to have to this. If for 48 hours you disappeared, what do you think that's currently happening in your business would just full stop? Because somebody's going to need your input, or somebody's going to want to make sure it's exactly right. Those things are the list of potential founder ceiling processes that we tackle. Sign number 2 is that there's no real ownership in your team. Sure, things are getting done, work's coming in the door, you're knocking it down, and clients are happy for it. But what happens if you take that step back? Does anybody feel like they're on the hook to continue that excellence, to make sure that that customer experience, the revenue always increases time over time? Or is everybody just taking a back seat, waiting to make sure that you have that opinion and ultimately drive the decisions going forward? In a healthy system, somebody might say, yes, I own our customer onboarding lifecycle, how we interact with them in every way, shape, and form. Another might say, I manage how we interact with our own employees. Ultimately, their job is the same. Bubble up information to you that you need to be a part of, that needs your opinion as the owner, but doesn't siphon time away from you, so that you can constantly think about those strategic goals you're trying to get to within the business a year, 3 years down the road. Sign number 3 is that growth is directly tied to your time and energy. And sure, as an owner, as a founder, you're going to be the one setting the pace, pushing that organization further, because frankly, no one cares about it as much as you do. However, when you're always the one keeping pace, making sure you're knocking down the things that are happening today and viewing into the future, you create this world where if you take any amount of step back, if you stumble at all, there's a real risk for productivity, efficiency losses, and the entire company to really feel the strain of your absence. Now, none of that is a character flaw. It's just a design flaw. We all know that a business is supposed to run itself. It's supposed to stay active even when you have to travel for another client, or shoot if you're just tired. But the idea is that if you're always enmeshed in the business, if you're always trying to stay on top of it, you create the very ceiling that you're trying to break through. And the thing about this ceiling is it really only allows your business to go as high as you personally can reach. Now, how are we going to start that mindset shift? How are we going from the operator that we talked about earlier, who's always in the weeds, to the owner that we're describing now? Now, with these 3 signs, you're either going to see yourself or you won't. That's the easy part. The recognition that the exact habits, the processes you have in place, and your ability to turn something out of nothing is the exact thing that might stop you from getting to that next step. Now, many owners think you have to abandon all of those traits that got you there, when the truth is they just have to be evolved. They have to change form in some way, because you need to go from having all of the ownership in the organization to pushing some of that ownership back to them, making sure that they can manage the daily tasks and appropriately station your time at the areas with the highest value to continue the growth that you are currently experiencing. So where do you start? Now, we're not going to pick everything all at once. The idea is you're going to find one area of your business, whether it's hiring, billing, sales, then all the decisions still run through you. Make that your project for the next quarter. Your job for that one area is to move ownership to one person and give them a simple system to accomplish it. Now, this starts shifting your role in the eyes of everybody. You stop being a final approver and you go to be more of a coach and a strategist. You still care the same about the business. You still want to be a part of it, but you're no longer going to be the obstacle that stops it from moving forward. Now, if any of those three signs sound familiar, there's a good chance you hit your founder ceiling. The better news is that that ceiling only ever stays in place if you keep it there. Throughout all of my research for this topic, I found that owners who scale and grow do not try to make hero plays inside of their organization, making sure that day in and day out they're staying on top of all of the tasks. The ones who grow are the ones that get serious about implementing processes in their organization that can expand and grow as your company continues to scale into your aspirations. If you enjoy learning about how small businesses can continue to grow and scale with all the different obstacles they face in a given day, check out the rest of the Forge and Growth YouTube channel. And until then, I'll see you next time.